Hi everyone, welcome to Veronika Hack. Today I'm gonna do this lovely baby blanket in Tunisian crocheting. So for this I use the Woolly Hugs charity. So this has 50 grams of wool per 100 grams in each ball. It's 75% wool and 15% polyamide, 10% polylactic. So yeah, this is what I used today. And it's also something that you can wash at 40 degrees Celsius, which is always good when we're doing baby things. And this is why I use the charity for this project. So other than that, I have here my crocheting hook. This is number 5, but here you can see that it's 3.5 to 4.5. So yeah, with Tunisian crocheting, you're pulling on the thread, so it's a little bit different. So I would recommend taking a little bit bigger hook than what you would usually use. So yeah, try it out, see if you like it. If it's too loose, then you can of course do smaller ones. But yeah, also an interesting thing about this blanket, apart from its optic, is that this time we're not starting from the end, but actually we are starting from the middle. So in my case, that's this little reddish square. So that was the first one I did, and then it kind of just expands from there. So yeah, choose your own size and then we can get started. So in order to make the blanket soft, make sure to play with the needle size, with the hook size, and then just go from there. So yeah, as I said, we're going to start from the one square and then we're going to keep increasing in size and in width in different colors. Here I have 3, so the pinkish and the white. And yeah, you can see with each new row, it increases in size, and then you can stop whenever you want or whenever you run out of yarn. So yeah, then that's as far as the middle section goes. When you're satisfied with your width and length, or with the size, then I'm going to show you how to do the ending. So here you can see we have half of a square or a triangle and then a really nice border. So for the 3 colors, I used about 500 grams. And for 2 colors, I used 150 and then 200 of the rest for the border. So all in all, it's about 460 grams total. But I'm going to show you in the green how you can do the same thing on your own. So you can do 1 color or 10 colors, that's completely up to you. So let's move this out of the way a little bit so that we can get started. Okay, we're zooming in so that you can see nicely. So we're starting with a slip knot and we're starting with 7 stitches. So the first stitch is already on my hook, then I'm kind of moving it towards me like this, and I'm going into this loop here. So it's the middle one. And then we're taking our yarn with us, and then we're just going to do that with all of the stitches that we have. So we're going to have an increasing number of loops on our hook. There we go. So now we have 7 loops on our hook, and the number 7 is going to keep following us throughout this project. So this is the width of my square. Of course, you can do more or less, but I think 7 works perfectly. So now we're going to go back. So the typical thing about the Tunisian crocheting or nooking is going once through the 1 stitch, the first one we do, and then we're going to take our yarn and go through 2 and through 2 again, all the way till we get to the end and have just 1 loop on our hook. Okay, so now I have just one loop on my hook, and that's the first stitch for my next row. So now we're gonna go into this side here, so basically the diagonal piece, and we're again gonna start new stitches from there. This is called the base stitch in nooking. So I have 6 loops on my hook, so I need 7, one more, and this is gonna be out of this very last stitch, but I'm gonna go through both loops here just to make sure that the edges are nice and our square looks good. Then again, when you go back, go through one loop first and then through 2 at a time till you get to the end. Okay, so now we have the second row done, and the third is going to look the exact same way as the second. So we're starting new stitches out of this diagonal section, and then just make sure that at the end you do the stitch through both loops and then back through one, and then always through 2 at a time till you get to the end. And now I already have 1, 2, and 3 rows, and I'm gonna need 5 total. So 4 is exactly the same as so far. And then we go back. And the 5th row is again the same. And now we have our first square done. So we're going to do a chain here to finish up the square. And that way I'm going to basically go on top of this last stitch that I did. Then here I'm going to go in just like I did so far, but I'm going to go through both loops at the same time to kind of cast it off. And then I'm going to keep doing that so that I can absolutely completely finish my square. That way we're going to have the exact same edge as on the beginning. There we go, once for the last time, and then we're done. Then we can cut this short, pull through one more time, and that's our first square. So now for the second square, we're basically gonna go here in where we did the extra stitch, and that's where we're gonna start our new stitch, our new square. So I'm gonna start with the second color, and you can see here where my last row is, so you can always take a look at where your end thread is, and then from there we're gonna start new stitches. There we go. So now we're going to do 6 chains. Then again, turn it a little bit to the front. So this is our first stitch on our hook already, and then we're going again through the middle section and we're taking out new stitches. Two more and one more. So now we have 6 stitches or 6 loops on our hook, and we need 7. So we're going into the slip stitch here and then out of the following slip stitch. So next to the one we already did, we're taking our 7th stitch. And then we can cast these off, or not cast them off, but go backwards with our nooking. And this time we're going to go through to right from the beginning. And then we can start with our new stitches. So again, 6, and the 7th comes out of the green square. And now, just a trick that I like to use, I take my beginning thread with me so that I don't have to weave it in later. Because if you've seen my projects, you know that I avoid weaving in at the end as much as I can. So this is a great trick to take it with you and you don't have to worry about it too much later. So let's start a new row now. Seventh out of the 3rd slip stitch here, and then again go back. There we go. So I'm starting the 4th row now. And now comes row number 5. We're going into the 5th slip stitch then, and then we're going back. And now with that row we have our 2nd square done. So what we want to do now is again do a chain here, and then we're gonna do slip stitches here, just like so far. Three and 4. So now the last stitch I did in the edge stitch, this time I'm gonna go with the 6th slip stitch into the 1st chain or 1st stitch of my green square, or of the next square that I have lying next to it. And then we can get started with the next square with again 6 stitches. We're gonna turn it slowly and we're again gonna do the chains. So just like we did so far, we're starting a new square. There we go, so into the middle loop and we're starting new stitches. So now we again have 6, which means we need our 7th, and we're again going into the 1st stitch of the green square. and then again through 2 at a time until we're back at the beginning, and then we start a new row. And then we go into the green square and then back. There we go. Now we're starting our next row. Now the 7th again out of the green square, and then we again go back. Sixth and the 7th. So now I have 4 rows that I'm finishing, and we need 5. And again go back. And now we have 5 rows here, so now we can do a chain here and then slip stitches to finish up the square. Five, and then the last one goes into the first chain of the next square. And then we can get started with the next square. So we're again doing 6 chains. Turn towards you, out of the middle, we start new stitches and we can start our next square. Then we go here under the first stitch of the green square, and then we can move on. So if you're not sure where to start, you can always see the stitch that we ended our last square with, and then the next one is always where our first 7th stitch, so to speak, starts. And then you just keep going, always one stitch next to each other, so one stitch after another with the new rows. So I would recommend, if you decide to do this project, to try it out with some leftover yarn that you use for practicing. Just make sure that you like the method, that you like the way you're doing it and the result that you get, and then you can start with a larger project like a baby blanket. Now I'm again at the 5th row, which means that I need just one more 7th stitch in my slip stitch. Then I'm gonna go back. So we have 5 rows again, and then we're doing the chain and the slip stitches and finishing up this square. There we go. The last one goes into the next side of the green square. Again, 6 stitches. Then we're doing new stitches out of those 6 chains, and then new stitches out of those chains. And then we start our last square in this section. So where you did your last stitch, your first 7th stitch in this square basically starts right next to it. And just remember, the 7th stitch is always out of the edge of the other square, in this case the green one. Three rows, so 2 more. And now I'm going to do the last row with this color. Okay, and let's finish off. So 1 chain and slip stitches 5, and the 6th one is going to go into the green stitch, so the very corner of it, and then we can cut the thread short and pull it out. There we go. We shortened this, and then we can take a look and shorten everything else that might be hanging or dangling around here. And now I'm going to take the white and I'm going to show you how to start the next row. Here it is. So the 3 colors that I used are, or that I want to use, are green, orange, and the white. So in the original piece I have 3 different colors, and here 3 new ones, or the white stays the same but everything else changes. So I'm taking a look at where I started with the green square, and then I'm just going to turn it once back, so 1 square back, so to speak, and that's where I'm going to start my next round. So here we're again looking at where our first stitch is in the row. It shouldn't be too difficult to find, so just look at the very outer corner here and go through with your hook, and then we're just taking our white yarn with us, and that's going to be our first stitch. So then we're going to do 6 chains on top of here to start the next square. I'm gonna put this in the background so that it looks nicer and so that you can see better. So yeah, we're starting new stitches out of these chains here. Okay, so now we have 6, and then we're basically gonna go again with the same method as so far. So we're starting the 7th always out of the orange square this time, and then we go back through 2 at a time. Then we start new stitches out of the diagonal sections, and the 7th always goes into or out of the orange square. So here I'm going to show you, you can see here the middle, so that's our green square this time. Then the orange we actually did, or the pink here we did in orange, and then the white is actually again white. So you see where I stopped here kind of, and then I started the new row here, and the first square basically grew onto this pink square here, and then I just kept going all around. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, in the next row it's going to be 12, and then it's going to keep increasing by 4 in each row. So yeah, we have 1 on each side, then 2, then 3, so that's also how you can count. And I'm going to show you the first 3 rounds just so you can see what they look like, but you can already continue for as long as you'd like, or until you reach the size that you want, because this is pretty much all there is to this project. There we go. Now we can start a new one. And 5. There we go. So now again a chain and then slip stitches. The last one goes into the corner of the next square, so out of the orange, and then we can start with the 6 stitches and start a new section. So in the last row, what we basically did is that the square here and then the slip stitches here on this side, so on the top side that I have right now here, and then that's how we're starting, or how we always have stitches to start new stitches out of whenever we start a new square. Five and 6, and the 7th here out of the next square, orange one in this case. And I'm again doing the same thing as so far. So we're now filling this side out, which basically means that we're right here, and then this is the square we're doing right now, so above the two pink squares. And then we're going to keep going like that with the colors. So you can see I keep repeating the colors. Of course, you can do it completely differently. That's completely up to you what kind of colors you want to use. Right now I'm in the third row and I need 5 total. There we go. Now we go back. Row number 5 almost done, and then we do a chain and the slip stitches and we can start our next square. So 5 slip stitches and the 6th one, the last one out of the following square. So you can already see that it's pretty much the same thing as so far. So once you get the hang of it after our first couple of squares, it gets really easy and really relaxing. So I'm starting my new square now. I have my first row almost done. I need 5 total before I do my slip stitches. There we go, into the orange square and then go back. And the 5th, and then we can do the chain and the slip stitches. Five and the 6th around the next square. And then here you can see that we have the one side done. So now we need the second one or the other one. And then we're starting new stitches just like so far out of the slip stitches we did in the last round with the last color. the 7th stitch goes out of the edge, and then we just continue again. So you can see now that we have a lot of the stuff already done, the method you already know, and you can see now how this keeps increasing on all sides. So you just keep going in rounds basically, and in different colors in each row, or in the same color, whatever you prefer. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. You can do it for as much as you like, depending on the amount of yarn that you have or the size that you want in the end. So since this is a pretty relaxing project, feel free to have fun with it, do different colors or do different styles. Maybe you have some colorful yarn. Just make sure if you're doing it for babies that it's washable at 40 degrees to keep everything hygienic and clean. And yeah, apart from that, we just need the ending. So that's what I'm going to show you in another video. So this border as well, and that's what I'm going to show you in my part 2. So this is part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!